Wow, I think I'm live. What exactly is transmutation of the personality or the soul? I think many times it has to do with the fact that as humanity, we have not the right energy. I think there's a lot more negative in our reality than should be, and I don't believe that many people feel at home knowing that there is in our lives such negative energy that produces pain, suffering, and death. And I think that this anomaly wears on people and creates psychoses, that perhaps it is like an existential angst. Just studying that today, realizing that there has been a lot of research into how this happens, that people split because of trauma, and from dissociative personality disorder, used to be called multiple personality disorder, where during critical junctures in a person's life, they have this trauma that sets in either by negligence of their needs or by traumatizing a child in certain physical, psychological ways, then this would happen. There has been study upon this with the MK Ultra. Dr. Cameron Ewan at the Allen Memorial Institute, Montreal in Quebec, did notice that this was used to call psychic driving to create to stop depression, basically, because a lot of these problems are stemming from depression, addictions, etc., etc. The personality disorders are stemming from a lot of the issues that have trauma associated with them, whether it be psychological or maladaptive developmental personalities at the core of a person, at the soul level, and then this whole concept of the zombie apocalypse seems to be happening more and more with this addiction. So at the core, the personality becomes depressed and then dies. It's like a death, a soul death before physical death. But in order to reintegrate, there is a possibility of that. When you study different persons who have certain dissociative disorders from multiple personality disorder, splits of personality, sometimes people can have as many as hundreds of personalities that have split off in order to save the core personality, which may or may not be there. And then if that disintegrates, becomes, well, it is a form of psychosis in a way, and then that would become probably dysfunction completely of any personality, and that is almost like a soul core death. And I believe that a lot of times the reason this is happening more frequently in today's world, due to the fact we're not receiving perhaps an energy source, that we are like aliens on the angle. We're kind of bumped out in such a way that we're not receiving the core energies that we need in order to survive. There might be some form of plasma that's missing in our world that maybe integrated all our energies into sustainable energy, and personality being a bump out of our consciousness. And whether it's cosmic consciousness originally, which seems to be non-physical, and then coming into a physical reality, which many say is an illusion, that the mind has created a consciousness, that consciousness is infinite, and that we're living in a finite world, which doesn't make much sense if we are infinite. So eventually the cycle will probably return to the infinite, and we know that that probably will happen with the cycle of life and death. And the idea that our consciousness is infinite is a new thing for most people to configure. The fact that after we die, we probably are disembodied consciousness, and trying to reattach, somehow gravitate towards the material realm, since that's what we know, if that's the case, or going into a sleep until the time comes the energy returns, which is like in many religions, the return of the creator to the father figure, the archetypes that we have set up. So many times this happens. Now, I don't know if this is live or not, but anyway, I hope that I can help you in understanding this type of concept, because I think there's missing pieces to it. That yes, it's interesting to know that people do split into multiple personalities because of needing to survive at the core level of soul, of psyche. But once the personalities become manifest in the individual, it's not an individual. It's you have to think if it isn't somehow related to the concept of the gulf, standing in that these souls are waiting to be born, and they might be coming into persons. Because how could a person be that creative to create personalities in the first place? I always wondered how this would really work. How do people create these personalities once they're traumatized? Traumatized is like a soul death. So where are these souls coming from? The soul doesn't die, obviously. So the consciousness doesn't die. It just creates another kind of bump out. And then, like, if we have reincarnation, then these bump outs could be reincarnated persons from years ago. There's much to be studied there. I think that multiple personality disorder is certainly very, very interesting as a concept of survival of the soul. The soul going beyond, and I guess mating up with that, the soul mating up with the spirit, which I've called a spiritus. It's when the soul and the spirit combine to become a spiritus. That's what we're looking for. Our souls that become more than a personality of the body. It's like an eternal, infinite entity. And the psyche being that eternal entity. Now, of course, there's like aberrant souls, like the superego or ego, which is a construct for survival as well, but not as obvious as a multiple personality disorder or dissociative personality disorder personality. It can look very smooth. It can look like a real thing, but actually it isn't, because it's still fear-based, because dissociative personality is definitely created out of fear and survival of being killed off, traumatized to the point of non-existence, which is traumatizing for any human being. So we look for continuity in our souls, that we live forever, that we are infinite, and that's what we're all gaining to be. Whether or not we have personalities in the afterlife or in the infinite, which may not be an afterlife at all. We may not die. Our consciousness may not die. We might recreate a new personality, a new life, and because of the non-existence of life, it is, if you look at it, is an illusion, and that we wake up from the dream. Many shamans talk about this, in particular Miguel Ruiz. Dr. Miguel Ruiz talks about that as well, waking from the dream, the four agreements. We have a lot of energy to understand this in order to comprehend the infinite world of consciousness. Because if we are splitting when we come into a split infinitive, which is duality, there is a wholeness that we are cycling towards, a collective consciousness, of cosmic consciousness. Because if you think of everything that we are and see and be and do in this reality as an illusion, because it is only photonic, nothing else, photonic, and that is the original protoplasm. Probably behind this, the veil of this illusion, there is a continuity of consciousness, of infinity, that is not understood because of the split that happened and the energy that's missing and the multiple splits and the 70 trillion cells and all this that's happening, that eventually we reach critical mass in the cycle. We return back to the infinite consciousness of love. And I think that's everyone's waiting for that and has been talked about for how many years. It's always something, a debate. And but not really gotten into much detail, but now understanding consciousness, understanding a bit of our physicality as being photonic. That's it. And frequency, photonic frequency, and there is perhaps a unity in all that. So anyway, that's about it for now. I don't know if this is live, but anyway, have a good day. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.